All right, let's dive into something pretty cool today. We're talking contract engineering, and wow, you guys sent a ton of articles and guides about it. This is going to be fun.
It's a cool mix, gotta say.
Yeah,
You've got hardcore technical stuff bumping up against serious legal strategy.
for real. And it's not something you think about every day. Like, we see bridges, awesome buildings, the newest tech, but behind it all are these folks making sure it actually happens on time, on budget, no lawsuits. Wild.
Yeah, it's kind of like, imagine an orchestra, right? You got your crazy talented musicians, each doing their thing. That's your engineers, architects, whoever.
Yeah.
But the contract engineer, they're like the conductor. Make sure it all comes together, nobody's off beat, and boom, masterpiece.
Okay, love that. And speaking of masterpieces, one article mentioned a huge wind farm project. You're not just handing over blueprints and hoping for the best, are you?
Oh, heck no. That's contract engineer territory, and it's not for the faint of heart. We're talking land leases, permits, power agreements.
Yeah.
They make sure all that lines up perfectly with the engineering, the law, the whole shebang.
So, not just legal jargon then. They're deep in the engineering weeds too.
100%. Imagine writing a contract to build a skyscraper, but you don't get load-bearing walls or fire codes. Disaster. Contract engineers, they got to speak both languages, engineering and law. Fluent, too.
That's some skill set. And speaking of skills, we see different levels in this career, right? What's it look like for someone just starting out?
So you usually begin as a junior contract engineer.
Mhm.
That's where you learn the ropes, working under the more experienced folks, digging into those super detailed specs, making sure they don't clash with the legal stuff, like boot camp, but for contracts.
Sounds like you gotta love details.
Yeah,
And both engineering and legal talk.
you got it. And certifications can be huge here. Certified contract manager, things like that. Shows you're serious, you've gone the extra mile.
Like a gold star for contract ninjas.
Exactly. Then, as you gain experience, you become a contract engineer, full-fledged. More responsibility, reviewing and negotiating contracts. You're the guardian of those technical specs, making sure nobody messes with them.
So not just understanding stuff anymore. You need people skills, right?
Mhm.
Negotiation, all that.
Bingo. Think of it like this. You're the bridge between the engineers living in their world of blueprints and the lawyers with their clauses and whatnot. Gotta make everyone understand each other. Not always easy.
Yeah, that takes a certain personality for sure. And what kind of projects are we talking about here? Does it vary a lot by industry?
Absolutely. And that's what's so exciting about this field. I mean, your research had everything from those massive wind farms we mentioned to like cutting-edge robotics projects.
Wow, from wind farms to robots, huh?
Yeah.
Contract engineers really are everywhere.
You got it. And as you climb that career ladder, things get even more interesting. Next up is usually senior contract engineer. That's where leadership comes in.
So it's bigger than just managing contracts now. You're mentoring the newbies and making strategy for whole projects.
You're seeing the big picture, yeah. It's less about individual contracts and more about using them as tools,
Yeah.
to hit those big project goals. One example that jumped out from your research was a senior contract engineer on this crazy infrastructure project. Not just the technical legal stuff. They had to wrangle agreements with, like government agencies, even the local community.
Yikes, talk about juggling. Sounds intense, but also, wow, rewarding when you pull it off.
Totally. And get this, your materials actually had insights into how companies are interviewing for this senior role. They even mentioned this tool, RoleCatcher, that people are using to prep.
RoleCatcher, yeah. That caught my eye too. Sounds like a game changer if you're trying to land one of these jobs.
It's all about being ready for those curveball questions, the ones the interviewers love to throw. But the cool thing is, RoleCatcher isn't generic. They've got this massive database of questions, but they're specific to different levels of contract engineering.
Makes sense. What they want in a senior person is different from someone brand new, for sure.
Okay, so we've done junior, contract, then senior. What's at the tippy top? Like the contract engineering Jedi Master.
Haha, I like that. At the top, you've got your principal contract engineer. This is your visionary, the strategist for the whole organization.
So deep engineering and legal knowledge, obviously, but more.
Oh, yeah. They're analyzing the whole market, seeing risks and opportunities before they happen, setting the high-level contract policies everyone else follows. Sometimes they even get called in on super complex projects, like the ultimate problem solver if a contract goes haywire.
Nerves of steel, I bet. One profile mentioned a PhD in engineering and a law degree.
Yeah.
That's some next-level dedication.
It is, but hey, the path is there. If you're ambitious, love this stuff. And what's really wild is the need for these super skilled contract engineers, it's only going to explode as tech gets crazier and our world more complicated. It really is amazing when you think about it. Tech just keeps changing everything, and contract engineers, they're the ones making sure it happens right within the lines, you know?
And that's why it's such a future-proof career, honestly. Because think about where we're headed. Self-driving cars, right? Space travel. But like the for real kind this time. Heck, maybe even those underwater cities we always see in movies.
Yeah.
Contract engineers, they're going to be essential.
It's almost like they're futurists themselves in a way, seeing the problems before they happen, building those legal, technical safeguards so the cool stuff can actually exist.
Exactly. It's not just reacting, it's shaping what's next. And, that made me realize something as I went through all this info you sent over.
Oh, what's that?
Well, most of the stuff focused on the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Construction, architecture, manufacturing.
Yeah.
The classics.
Right, makes sense. Those are contract-heavy worlds, for sure.
Yeah, totally. But it got me wondering, where else will this be huge EE in the future?
Yeah.
Like, what about giant environmental projects? Cleaning up this planet, that takes contracts. Or even think about it, AI. Building ethical AI, that's got to have rock-solid agreements behind it.
Oh, man, you're right. The stakes are so high with that stuff. Imagine writing a contract to fight climate change or making sure AI actually helps humanity.
Mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
But it shows how this field is not static. It's growing, changing right alongside the craziest stuff we can imagine. And yet, always got to have that base layer of solid agreements.
I've got to say, this deep dive, it's been eye-opening. I had no clue how much contract engineers do. It's like the perfect blend of knowing your tech and being crazy good with the legal side.
It is. It takes a special kind of person, but the impact is huge. You're literally building the future, one contract at a time.
Well said. So anyone listening, if you like fast-paced, if you love knowing how things work, but also the rules behind them, and you want in on projects that could change the world, contract engineering might be calling your name.
No doubt about it. It's only going to get bigger from here.